All right, so today I'm going to talk about Aaron Parecki's webmention.io. This project enables webmention and pingbacks on any web page. What does it mean exactly? Well, if I've come across it the first time on a couple blog posts now. For example, Sean's blog post, he includes at the bottom of each blog post, he includes these web mentions, which basically shows how many likes, how many comments has this URL been shared in. And you can see these come from social networks like Twitter or other places around the web. He's wrote a very nice blog post, as well as Max as well, how to include webmentions.io in the front end. However, I'm more interested actually in running this myself. As you can see, webmention.io is actually a hosted service, but it's fully open sourced. So I'm super interested in diving in and getting this up and running myself. It's written in Ruby and using Sinatra under the hood. It's been around for a really long time already, almost 10 years. And Aaron Parecki is definitely the main contributor here. So thanks so much for all your hard work. He's got some nice documentation, and thanks to GitHub, we can actually browse this much easier. So there's a development section. I see that his documentation still includes like Ruby 2.1.6, which has already reached end of life and is not supported anymore. I've got Ruby 2. Actually, I got Ruby 3.0 already installed on my local machine, but I've tried running this with Ruby 3. It didn't work. So Ruby 2.7.2 it was. It's also using MySQL to store as a database. I've got MariaDB locally running on my computer. So the only thing you need to take care of is if you look at the gem file, there's a very popular gem in here called MySQL 2. And I mean, this is also a bit outdated, but there's currently 0.5.3 available. All you need to do is when you install this gem, you need to reference your MariaDB MySQL configs. I will add that in the comments how to do that. All right, so I've got everything installed on my machine. So I pulled the repo. I've got everything here. And we've already run bundle install. We've actually bundle updated. So to use all the latest version, I'm using Ruby 2.7.2 right here. We've gotten our database up and running, and the start command we can hit as well. And then let's see. So now it's opening this localhost. And as you can see, it's exactly the same page as webmention.io, just running on our local machine now. What's nice is you also include this test sample, which we can just, like a rake task, which we can just send. Before I do that, let's dive into the code a bit, what actually is going on here. So I'm in the rake file, and right here there's this namespace called test and sample 1. All that's doing is basically it's sending a post request to this URL on our local host port that's currently open, and it has a source URL and a target URL. Well, this post request actually is this one right here in the webmentions.rb controller, and in this case, pingback is our username, and the XML RPC is the final route endpoint. And what's happening here, it's parsing the body, So our target URI and source URI, it's checking if it's all UTF-8 compliant. It's then getting, because we're sending XML in this post request, we're actually getting the method. If the method fits, which is ping back ping. So this is the method right here. Then we can parse it and we can actually run this process mention. I wish I could just jump around here, but it's this method right here. So what this does, it's basically just writing something to our database and yeah, storing it and creating an account that way. So if we go back to our console, I've got that queued up here on the like rake test sample 1. If we run that, nothing happens. Right, okay. That's kind of embarrassing. I guess I forgot exactly this last bit right here, which is rec-env. All right, now it should run, execute properly. That worked. Don't get, it's just the wrong size, but it is the right size. And we can see that there's actually something going on here. So it's sending the method called pingback, and then it's writing actually into our database, searching for a user. It's writing in the database our 2 requests, and we can double check that. If we go to links, we can see this. If we check the date, we can see the 4th of April, which is today. And if we check here, we can also see that public access account ID 1 has been sent. Yeah, and this has also been updated. So that's kind of cool. So it's actually writing the links that we wanted to right in the database. If we check again, we have the source URI and the target was this. So whenever this happened, we wanted to see where this is shared from. And that's kind of cool. So this is the project, webmention.io. I don't know if I would recommend installing this locally if there's a free service. Definitely worth checking out, and checking also out Sean and Max's blog posts, respectively, how to install this on your client side static host. And thanks so much for tuning in.